Yeah, I think those are, you know, I think those are critical moments. You don't want to skip steps, right?
Yeah.
And fast success means you have to, means you. So what you have to do is either, you know, backtrack and figure it out, go back and sort of reestablish team, trust, methodology, hierarchy. Either you go back and you backtrack, which happens occasionally, but more often than not, you are forced to act because you have to finish a record, you have to get out on tour, you have to promote a record, you have to get back and think about making another one. There's not much time to do all that.
We think about that because one of I'm a really big fan of Coldplay, but I
Me too.
remember,
Huge.
yeah. But what I like about what Coldplay did, and they copied U2, is if you look at U2's credits, all the songs are written and produced by U2.
Hmm.
Coldplay did the same thing. Whether Chris Martin did all the writing or not, but he's like, for us to exist as a band and a group for a long term, we need to make sure that we stick through this, and that becomes the brotherhood. And so everyone knows the importance of, yes, rehearsals, and you can't mess it up for the rest of us. In R&B, it didn't seem the same way unless you were actually blood brothers who grew up singing. But in that case, sometimes it's like, we kind of met at a different point, and the money comes in, and it sometimes feels as if, hey, how come you're doing all the writing? How come you're making all the money here? Why should be
Sure.
singing? And other people are
Yeah.
whispering in their ears. It, did that, I mean, because you're working so hard to get the break, does everyone think about how do we sustain ourselves and make sure we can be doing this for 30, 40 years and not get burnt out after three or four?
Yeah. What a what a great description, because I think that's exactly what happens. The way the way you described it. And I think you juxtaposed it against what does work. And to circle back around, and this is why when I say I do it over again, I would not skip the steps, because I believe what happens is that that's when you're establishing all those things that you described that make sustenance and keeping it going for the long term. That's when those things are established. They aren't established once success comes. Once
Mm,
success comes, the train has already left the station. How we're going to
mm,
do things is how we're going to do things. But when it happens quickly with skipping those steps, then no, there's not that time to do that. That's why it's like Chris was able to see along the way as they're developing, like, oh, this is how it's gonna have to work, because you have to bump heads and go through those situations in order to arrive at that stage of band maturity, right? Um, but because once the outside elements are introduced, then no, it's too late. You,
mm,
you, you cannot go back and have some of those disagreements or conversations, because now they're colored with a completely different paintbrush,
mm.
right? There are so many more factors involved now than when you were coming up. So yeah, that is a huge reason. I'm a fan of Coldplay also, because I see, and we were actually told that we did a so the largest audience we ever performed at was Bill Clinton, the President Clinton's inauguration. We
Wow.
did, and it was wild, man. Talk about surreal.
Was that with
We
Michael
were
Jackson?
Yeah. So we were in, like, they have these holding tents where you could go, and one of them was like the little food, like, refreshment tent. So, and they're big, maybe a little bit bigger than the inside of my car here. Not a big space, right? And sitting at a table around the cheese plate is like us, uh, Michael Jackson, Oprah Winfrey, Jack Nicholson, Quincy Jones, REM, like, just like sitting there having snacks. And I mean, you kind of get that feeling. I've only had that feeling maybe another one more time in my life, when a Beyonce experience, where I'm like, what am I doing in this room? Like, I'm the odd man out, obviously. But during that event, our outside of the snack tent and our holding tent, when we got ready to go up and perform, we were in a tent with REM and Melissa Etheridge, and so we're kind of chopping it up in there in close proximity. And I'll always remember, if he sees this, Michael Stipe, REM, told me the only way, he's like, "You're the writer." I said, "Yeah." He's like, "The only way the band stays together is if all of it is shared."
Oh, he said
all
that.
of it. He's like, "We went through it. We basically broke up because of it and came back together." And I didn't want to hear that at all. I was not. Thank you, Michael Stipe. Big fan. I'm gonna go listen to REM. I'm gonna go lose my religion. I'm losing my religion right now, listening to you tell me I shouldn't be making any money. But he's right. He was right that that you need to figure out some equitable way of doing it. It also doesn't work if you feel like you are carrying the load, or you feel like that's the part, and that's why it requires not skipping steps and having these tough situations come up before the stakes get high. Because if if the compensation has to be split evenly with the labor, everyone has to be earning their share in the same way, or it has to be felt that everyone is earning their share the same way, or doing the same amount of work. And of course, no one believes that they're not.
Yeah.
Who does? Even the devil thinks he's the good guy. So, I think that's part of the albatross of instant fame and money. Also clouds the judgment. It inflates the ego. It creates delusions of grandeur. And I think those are factors that all come into play when you're trying to keep a band together. That's why it's so freaking hard. Even, Oasis and Brothers, it's hard for Brothers.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's a very difficult dynamic to keep together. I heard that, Rolling Stone, when they were breaking all the touring records, that, that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards hadn't spoken in a decade. But they were coming together and doing these world tours. Which, shout to them for pulling it off.
Yeah.
For the brand. They're for the brand. Of course, we're talking about different amounts of money.
Yeah. Making 100 million per show. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between
us for even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay, you okay?
They don't understand what Jonas Boys are winning all spirits.
play it.
these guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.